Hey kids, this is Ivan. How you doing? Well, the answer is money. Well, if money's the answer, what the hell is the question? I've been wrestling with this question lately. What's the single biggest limiting factor in my life? What's the one area of my life that if I improved it would have the most dramatic impact upon my life and upon the most areas of my life? And well, it's not a very satisfying answer. It seems really, really superficial, but it is practical. And to be honest, if I had more money, if I made more money, it would have a dramatic effect upon my life in a positive manner. And I'm not talking about having enough money to be a millionaire and have an extravagant life. I'm talking about, having enough money to be able to breathe financially. If something happened, it wouldn't be an automatic disaster. And, to be able to live and enjoy life and do some of the things I like to do without worrying, is this going to cost too much? And even to be able to give. And, right now, my income as it stands, it falls just short of covering, all my basic expenses. It doesn't even quite, cut that. And I was watching a video a little while ago, and I'm not going to mention the channel or the person because I laughed very hard. He talked about this idea that in the mid-'80s, people had to work about 30 weeks. And after 30 weeks, they had covered all of their major bills. And after that, the money was for things like savings and discretionary expenses and all that kind of stuff. But now we have to work at least 53 weeks on average to cover all of our bills. And there's only 52 weeks in a year. What made me laugh really hard is he said one of the things you need to do is to save 6 to 12 months of income. And all I could think of is like, well, how many weeks do you have to work to do that? So I laughed very hard, and I won't tell you, what the video was, but it gave me a chuckle, which I really needed. So yeah, my income just barely is making it. And I'm in debt, and the debt that I have is not from extravagance, although there are a couple of extravagances hanging on the wall, which I'm paying off, but it's mostly from just the basic, ups and downs of life, the unexpected dental bills or vet bills or insurance premiums or repairs. And all of those things, not only are the basics getting so much more expensive, and I'm sure you've been at the grocery store and everything else and seen how those are, but all those other expenses, the unforeseen expenses, those have gotten really, really expensive as well, and incomes just haven't kept up. So a lot of people find themselves in this same boat. And so like right now, I'm not sinking deeper into debt, but I'm like treading water. I'm like that duck that's like paddling under the surface of the water. They're supposed to be moving forward, but I'm in the river and the river's flowing this way and I'm going that way and I'm just kind of just holding. And one bad, event could really upset the apple cart. And, could I recover financially? Well, I'm never going to be able to financially recover from this. And that is a very real fear. But even without that fear, just putting that much effort in, it's exhausting physically, it's exhausting mentally, it's exhausting emotionally. And it really takes a toll on a person. So, what's the solution? Well, I could just stop spending all the stop all the discretionary purchases I make. I could stop drinking Diet Coke and just drink water. I could simply eat ramen and cut out, the other foods I eat. And, to be honest, most of my discretionary expenses are gone. Like I've cut out a lot. And I'm not willing to live a life that's so austere that it's not even worth living. I think we all deserve more than that. I could get a second job and work 60 or 80 hours a week, but I've done that too. I spent a large part of my life working the 16-hour days, day after day after day. And there's chunks of my life where all I remember is that I worked. That's pretty much all that I did. And, I have people that I love. I have relationships that I devote time to. I have passions that I try to devote some time to. I have recovery. I have things in my life that are important. And I am not willing to trade my life, of which I only get one, and all of it, all those hours, chasing the almighty dollar and not actually having a life. So both of those cures aren't really what I'm after. I need to be able to make some more money doing something in a reasonable amount of time. And I have a real desire for autonomy. And if you watch this channel, you kind of get that idea that I really want to do something for myself and not just end up working for somebody else. Now, there are things like that are non-conventional, like YouTube, like, digital products and what have you, which are, they're a reality now. And these are some things that are very alluring because, I want things like the ability to choose my own direction, to have some time freedom where I'm not just bound to like working forever and ever and ever, and freedom of location, something that I could do from wherever the heck I am. These are important, the ability to like chart my own course and still own my life and not be a slave to a business I create. But the options I have seem a little unclear. Like, how exactly do I do this without, selling my soul, without doing some things that I think are wouldn't align with my core values? And I'm not saying you have to do things that don't align with your core values to make a decent living online, but I need to be careful about that, because I'm not trying to be a millionaire. I'm just trying to be free. And the problem with having freedom, being able to pick your own path, choose your own direction, is nobody's telling you what to do. And I don't mean that like when you don't have a job and you have a business, there's no boss telling you, get back to work. I'm not talking about that. I mean, giving you a direction. What should I be doing right now? Now, there is a lot of information about, what to do. But it's hard to figure out who do you listen to. Because when I have the time, very often I don't know exactly where to start. And yes, I'm putting in effort. And so I'm already doing something. But sometimes I wonder to myself, is there something else I can be doing? It's not laziness. It's a lack of structure or lack of certainty or clarity, or maybe even just some fear. Like, am I doing the right thing? Should I be doing something different? So I could spend lots of money on coaches and on courses. But you remember that part where like, $1,000 would kind of like tank me? I don't have thousands and thousands of dollars to do that. There is a lot of information out there for free, thank goodness, which is great. But there's a lot of it. And sometimes there's too many stars and not enough constellations. And who exactly do I listen to? And what precisely do I do here at this, at this time? So sometimes, it can be really frustrating being stuck between desire. I tell you, if you just told me what to do, I would work as hard as possible. And I would spend hours a day doing this, but I'm not exactly sure what to do. And I laugh sometimes when people talk about how hard YouTube is and how much time they put into YouTube. And I've been making videos for a long time. And it's just, my videos aren't like produced and don't have incredible edits and all that kind of stuff. But it's not that hard to make videos. It's just not. So it's not that. But, like today, I've been off of work with an injury, which I do not recommend. It is not fun. And I'm okay. I'll be all right. I'm on the mend. But I had time and I wasn't quite sure what to do. And this felt very frustrating. And as a result, even the basic tasks I had around the house, like I could have done some light house cleaning and some practicing for some gigs that are coming up, all non-strenuous things, but they all just kind of felt hollow. Like I was walking around in this mental fog of like, I'm not really sure. I want to do something towards my goal, but I'm not sure what to do. And that, left me feeling a little bit uncertain and hopeless. And like, no matter what I did, does it really matter? You ever get in that kind of mental funk? It's not a fun place to be in. So listen, I don't have any answers. I just have questions. I'm not claiming to have any kind of solution. I'm just sharing the process of where I'm at right now as I go through this journey. What does Ivan do next? And maybe asking the right questions is the start. Finding the right questions to ask is probably the right start. If you're in a similar situation, if this resonates with you, if any part of it resonates with you, let me know. Let me know how, how it's resonating, where you're at. Feel free to comment and understand too that you're not alone, because there's a lot of people out there right now that just they want something different, and the job market ain't going to be it, So, maybe we can do this together. We're going to live out loud. We're going to do the thing. I'll talk to you later, kids. Have a good one. Watch these videos. Be good to yourself.